those who don't know me, I'm Chad Bridges. Is there anyone here that has not turned or poured acrylics? Okay, cool. I have a tendency to talk fast and just go. So if you guys need me to slow it down or anything, please throw something at me or say stop or repeat it.
I can't hear real fast.
All right, I like that. Okay. The place that I get my stuff is from US Composites. This stuff is called Silmar 41. It is very easy to do. There are some people that are out there that do it with syringes. The only type of syringe work that I'll do is when I want to create something that has floating acrylics inside of it. That's just a two-part pour. Some of the things that you can do with the acrylics is you can make what they call your own mutt blanks. And that's where it has chunks of cut-off wood and stuff like that. And you can pour it however you want. This will eventually be pin blanks when I decide to cut it. Another thing that you can do is you can use dump cups. This is like, I don't know, a good 15 different pours from excess stuff, you know, so you just don't throw it away. I just have one cup that I dump everything into, and this is kind of the stuff that you get when you do something like that. There's several different ways of casting. You can buy the kits like this that just come, and you'll make pin blanks like this. This is a pin blank that actually has floating acrylic on the inside. You can use this to make ribbons. And I can pass this around. You can see the actual ribbons that are inside this. You pour a thin layer. This is more time consuming when you're doing the layers because you actually have to sit there with the razor and let it gel up, and then you separate each one. Now there's a little trick, so you don't have to get your hands all messy and try to hurry up and bend them so when they finally cure they're stuck in that form. Let them fully cure, but already have them separated where you can cut them on a scroll saw or bandsaw or whatever. This here, the bottom is actually, all of it's acrylic except for the actual sea urchin. All this acrylic here was turned on a lathe. If you use boiling water, once the acrylic is cured, you can actually put it in there, make sure you have some really good gloves, pull it out, and if you have a bending jig or whatever, set it up in there, hit it with some cold water, and it'll hold its form. The only way this will ever go straight again is if I was to stick it back in boiling water and then roll it out like dough. That's the only way. You can somewhat smush it if you get it hot enough and it doesn't break down, it doesn't add stress fractures or anything else like that. I'm actually in the design phase right now of doing a giant lamp where lights actually go up through the acrylic. Another thing you can do with the acrylics, you can't see with this right now, but all the pods are filled with acrylic. This is actually a lamp head. I don't know if you guys can see it. Probably not because there's a lot of light.
At the bottom.
But all of this lights up, believe it or not. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So there are different ways of doing. There we go. Different ways of doing it, and you can pretty much use anything. You can make your own molds. This is a blank that I casted just the other day. This also is floating. It's called Ocean Waves.
Question.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by floating?
Normally when you pass this around, and it actually looks like the stuff is floating on the inside. It's all cured. When you turn it, it's not going to sling out or anything like that, like unfinished glue or anything.
Okay.
It's just, yes, ma'am.
Would you explain this a minute? Again, you said there's ribbons?
Yes. There is actually acrylic ribbons in it.
Okay.
And that's what this is for. Like I said, I'm all over the place because this is the first time I've demonstrated with the time limit. This is where you would make your ribbon. Go to the dollar store, get a cheap frame, have the glass still in it. Tape off your edges, and then just mix up whatever. If you want the ribbon to have a lot of pigment or a lot of color because it's so thin, you want to add more pigment. But you need to be paying attention to how much catalyst you need to be putting in with the extra amount of pigment. The more pigment you put in, sometimes you have to put a little bit more catalyst in it.
What are you using for pigment?
Acrylics, powdered pigments. These are $5 a jar, I believe, or something like that. $5 a jar, and I get these at Ready Arts, or you can buy them online. You can find them on eBay. You can find them. You can just Google it, and it's made in one place.
They got it at Hobby Lobby as well.
Hobby Lobby as well. Michael's has them, but they come in like the little tiny makeup jars or whatever, and it's actually a waste of money. Don't do that because I made that mistake, so learn from me. The stuff is very fine, very, very fine.
Was it powder?
Yes, sir.
Mica powder.
You can open it. Whenever you are mixing the stuff, and I'm going to show you how to mix here in a few minutes. Whenever you're mixing, you just really want to make sure that that pigment is completely mixed in, because if not, you're going to have a beautiful piece with a nasty spot in the center of it. Sometimes that's cool if that's what you're going for, but the majority of the time it's just a pain in the butt. You can turn bowls. They're just expensive to do. So unless you can get someone to pay $60 for a bowl this size, it's really not feasible. But I actually found a way to make a mold of a bowl so I'm not wasting all the inside of the acrylic. Umu 30, this stuff, is how you make your molds. This stuff will make this stuff. It's equal parts. You mix it in. You make sure that you stir both containers up at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but thoroughly before you will mix them together. This stuff will last years if you're good with it. Right now, what I have in here is some castings of napkin rings that I made. I made the actual originals out of wood, and then I went ahead and casted them through the umu. And all you'll do is you'll just pull this apart, pop it out, and you pretty much already have it done. You will stick it on the lathe with a chuck, and I can show you. You'll clean it up, run your tool over it, stand it, because it picks up some of this. So you just want to kind of get the residue off it, and then it'll polish up real nicely. Yes, sir?
Is that the same stuff that was being used for vacuum molds in the recent Woodturners magazine?
That I do not know because I didn't see that article.
You use it for pewter, don't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I use a similar product for my pewter. It's a silicone product with a high melting point.
Yeah, because when this chemical reaction happens, if you have it in cups like this is how I make. Oh, it's right here. This is how I make my my wine bottle blanks. Fits right in the cup. It's minimal waste. It tapers down so you don't have this big old thing, and it's just above what your bushing is for your wine stopper. The hole for my wine stopper is a 3/8, so I drill a 23/64 hole and then tap it onto it. So we have the napkin rings. You can also make, these are for purse hangers. You make one, you duplicate it up, and then you'll use double-sided tape on just a regular block of wood, and fits right on there. You clean it up, boom, you got it. Instead of pouring and wasting an entire blank, you're saving your money by doing this. It's a little bit more time consuming, yeah, but if you're selling 20 or 30 of these things a week, then it's worth your time.
It's a purse hanger?
This is an insert on a purse hanger, so it's just like the jewel that'll be on the purse hanger. If you decide to do ribbons in a pin blank, that can happen. If you pass this around, that's a real good shot of what the ribbons look like before they're they're encased in the other acrylics. That was my very first attempt. I was an idiot and didn't shake my pen blanks. And one of the type of pen blanks that I have is right here. This is how I make my pen blanks that are already round. This is how I make my pen blanks that are squared. Generally, you're just going to pop the tape off. Should have already done that, but I got distracted.
Is that PVC or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It doesn't-
With PVC and this Silmar 40 product, you do not need mold release. Do not need it. You just got to have a little dowel or something that you can put down inside here.
You could also use do-do-do-do,
What's that?
do-do-do-do.
Put it down in here. Slides right out. Simple. It's already round, 5 inches. I used the tape before. I used to use cork and old gloves. Problem that I was finding is I wasn't able to always get an accurate of my 5 inches. This way I can get, with the tape, I can get my 5 inches accurately or a little more, whatever it is that I'm doing. Never had any problems with any of the blanks exploding. This product is very good. So that's one of the ways you want to do that.
Chad, one thing would be great is if you could put a source list together
Yes, I can.
and send it to Keith so he can put it on our resources page.
Okay, not a problem at all. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pour real quick. Does anyone have any questions at all? Guys, stop me, I mean, because like I said, I constantly go. So I apologize. I'm used to teaching kids up in the Adirondacks, and by the way, Kay, I'd like to help again with the kids,
Okay,
but I get on the plane to go teach up in the Adirondacks June 12th, so somewhere in between there, if you
okay,
could
we've got a,
schedule me in, that'd be great.
all right.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Entrained air bubbles, any problem with those?
Okay, that's actually a good question. With the air bubbles, you can have a pressure pot, and you can go to Harbor Freight and get one for like $100. If you have a little compressor, you just got to make a couple modifications to it. I don't use it that much unless I get a lot of orders for pen blanks that I got to hurry up and knock out. Generally, what I do is I pour my acrylics and just let them sit, and I have not had too many problems with air bubbles. Now, this one has air bubbles in it, but I injected the air bubbles on purpose because this actually has shells floating inside of it, and I wanted to give it the effect of it being in the ocean and everything like that, so I went ahead and just put air bubbles in it. But generally, as long as you're mixing thoroughly and not slapping it around, creating air bubbles in it, you won't have any problems. You can add heat to the top of it, and sometimes that'll help draw the surface bubbles up. I don't recommend that because that stuff is flammable until it cures. Extremely flammable
How
until
long
it
does it
cures.
take to cure?
I just go ahead and give it 24 hours. But if you have a pressure pot, you can turn it in 45 minutes.
When you're saying pressure pot, I don't get that.
It's
Metal container with a screw down lid.
yes, it's basically a pressure cooker without the water, and you just hook your air up to it, and it's got a gauge on it, and you take it up to 70 psi. Once you hit the 70 psi, you let it sit for 45 minutes. I would go ahead and let it sit for an hour just in case the.
And that cures it faster.
That's it. I mean, it's amazing, but
But you might be careful buying a pressure cooker right now.
yes,
You might be visiting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's special.
So go to Harbor Freight.
Because they're surprisingly expensive unless you get them at Harbor Freight or
Yes.
eBay. And I'm just wondering, Charles Graves did a demo on pouring acrylics about 2 years ago. And I think we have his tutorial on our website
think so.
as well. And there, he had quite a bit about, because he used the pressure pot all the
Yes.
time. And so there's some information, I think, on our website about that.
How big are
They're, well, you get them all
1 gallon.
sizes,
They're-
but 1 gallon is about what,
Yeah, it's about a 1 gallon. Imagine a oversized 1 gallon paint can. I kid you not, that's exactly what it looks like. It's just that it has the dog downs that you would see on a ship to secure the doors. It's got a rubber seal on the inside. You set it down, drop the doors down, and you're good to go.
Now you can put paint in for paint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now
Exactly.
I know what we're talking.
Yeah, because mine came with that paint tube, or the
Yeah.
suction tube. I went ahead and cut that off
Yeah.
and just left everything else the same, and I just added some fittings. That was it. Oh, these are the 18 gauge needles that I use for when I want to do, maybe you guys can pass this around. This has actually got some that are floating. This is floating inside this one. This is how I'm able to do the floating. The key to that is you'll have two cups. You'll fill one of the cups with just clear acrylic, and then you'll get the other cup and you'll fill it in with whatever pigment you want. Once you do the mixture of the clear, go ahead and put the catalyst in, mix it up really well. You want to spend about 2 minutes mixing it up to make sure it goes all the way through. That way the curing process is 100%. Then you'll set this off to the side. Then you'll go ahead and mix up your pigment. Once you get that going, don't put the catalyst in for like another 2 or 3 minutes after you get this mixed, because you want this to almost start gelling. So when you put the needle inside there and you squirt the pigment, it's not just going to disperse like this one did. They changed the formula on the Silmar 40 or Silmar 41. Not sure why, but they did, and I wasn't expecting a change, so I don't know how this one's going to turn out. But this is supposed to look like a jellyfish. So I'll go ahead and mix. Instead of always using that, I just get a little mason jar, just like so.
Now, this is the stuff in the can.
Yes, sir. This is the actual Silmar 41.
Okay.
How expensive is that?
The 1 gallon jugs are about $35. I think that's with the shipping, I believe. So that's not that bad. You can get it up to 5 gallons, as far as I know. I'm sure they make them in 55 gallon drums, but I'm sure that's a special order.
Is there a real short shelf life with that stuff too?
Yeah, it's 3 months, but I've actually extended it to 10 months. I've never had not 10 months, 6 months. I went away up to the mountains and then came back, and as long as it's in a nice climate-controlled area, you really don't have to worry about it. And I haven't had any problems with any of my stuff. All right, with the pigment, it's pretty much up to you. They do make actual measuring spoons that have like pinch or a dash or a splash or whatever. And if you wanted to create a certain color, like I'll make my own colors, and I actually have a log book that I write everything down as to how much portions that you put for whatever color you're mixing. But this stuff here is called mink. That's it, and that's a lot compared to what I normally do. And all you're gonna do is you're just gonna mix this in.
Hello?
You want to scrape the sidewalls and everything. Whenever you're pouring, you don't want to scrape the sidewalls. Whatever comes out of the cup is what comes out of the cup. Do not scrape the sidewalls, because if there's any undissolved pigment, you're going to put that undissolved pigment into your blank.
Don't spill it on that new lathe.
That too. Good thing is that this stuff cleans off, except for your clothes. So obviously you can't really tell the color, but
Other camera. Hold it on your wooden box.
I don't know if you guys can tell the color. It's ugly up there, but it's beautiful down here. But you just want to make sure that all this pigment is mixed really well. And then you'll take the catalyst, which is like PPK, or no, MEKP. It's 10 drops per ounce. This is a 3-ounce cup, so you just do 30 drops.
I think we need a how-to book.
You guys can also go to my YouTube, because I have a couple videos. I have 50 videos up doing different things with what I do. So you guys can check that out and everything. I'm actually not going to pour it in this. I'm going to pour it in this so you guys can actually see it and pass it around and all this stuff. And with this, I got this from Woodcraft, I believe. Not Woodcraft, Woodturners. Woodturners catalog, or Craft Supply USA. Once it's mixed, this stuff will start gelling depending on how cold or what the temperature is outside. The warmer it is, the faster it'll start curing. So the cooler it is, it's obviously the total opposite. But once it starts gelling, you don't want to move it, because if it does create any air bubbles, you're stuck with them. You just take it, pour it in. Now, if I was doing another color, obviously that's not enough, but if I was doing another color, I can pour another one on top of it right now. Take the stick, or using a piece of wire to do thinner, and you can actually just create whatever swirls or craziness that you want to do. You want to write your name in there, write your name in there, and then you just set it off on a level surface. That's it. I mean, that's the whole pouring process. I know it seems probably like a pain in the butt or difficult, but once you start doing it, I mean, it takes nothing to pour it up. All right. For those who've never turned acrylics, they do have. They have, what is it? Is it a negative rake scraper that they use for the acrylics? I don't use that because I like my money and I try to do it my own way. But all I use is just a regular little scraping tool, but I don't ever let it sit flat. The whole time I'm turning, it's turned this way. It doesn't chip. It'll actually throw out beautiful ribbons. So it's never like this. It's always like this. But you got to be careful, because this will get hot and it'll start doing some like a little bit of warpage, and then you'll start feeling a little bit of out of whack or cattywampus. And so
How do you sharpen that?
this, I have a diamond wheel that I just go right up to it and I do it. I've tried using my little sharpening jigs. I suck with them and I suck without them, so I just wing it. So that's pretty much about it. But this is very simple. Hopefully this is,
It looks like just a little scraper, is that what that is?
that's all it is, just a round nose scraper.
All right.
Your tool rest, you want it kind of just slightly above center, or, okay, yeah. You want it slightly above center, and then, again, you just have the tool. You want to smell the tool rest? Or a shorter tool rest? Oh, no, we're good. almost like a 45.
Should all be using eye protection when you do this?
I can't hear you.
No, yeah.
What did you say?
They should all be using eye protection when they turn.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. There's some face shields in here somewhere. I forgot mine. So I apologize. That's fine.
Tastes good?
It's a little gritty. I'm sure it tastes good with a little bit of hot sauce after it. Alright. But y'all can see how it is. It's very smooth. On the ends of any acrylic, when you have like a little tiny lip, it's actually going to start chipping. I accidentally dropped one of my pen legs, and it chipped. It'll go away once you start turning it and everything else like that. At this stage, is there any questions? No? Either y'all are bored, or I'm actually doing a good job of teaching, so I'm not sure which step.
Well, we got lost on something.
Really? You should have asked. What are you lost on? You sure? If you were to lay this, okay, not all the time, but if you were to lay this completely flat, the times that I've done it, it's always created, it jerked it into the thing no matter how soft I was doing it, or it created chips or some type of weird design in that almost like a chatter tool that I didn't want. I think it's cool.
Have you tried to camouflage the threads?
Sir?
Have you tried to camouflage the threads like you've got over there now?
Yes, sir. On the shell piece, I lucked out. I was trying, and I put the shell down the very bottom of the cup. And then I went ahead and poured the acrylic. But before I did that, I added just a little bit of CA glue at the bottom of that cup. So it would hold it in place, but it would raise it enough to where the acrylic would come
I see.
underneath. So when I would do it, it would sit flush up against the piece, or up against the bottom of the wine stopper. But yeah, for the most part, like in this one, it's not camouflage, and the other one, it's not camouflage. Some people don't mind it, and then some of the people at the gallery, they don't want it that way. So they want you to throw a little bit of mess down at the bottom, or they just want them solid.
And how do you measure the bottom diameter to match the top of the
This
stopper?
mandrel that I have here is actually set for these. Sometimes I'll leave them a little bigger.
Oh,
Sometimes
so it's
I'll
got a
take it all
bush
down.
on it, okay.
Yes, sir, right here.
Yeah, all right,
That is the actual bushing right there.
yeah.
But if you switch catalogs or switch companies, sometimes their stuff will not match up to the one that you're used to doing.
So it's just like turning them
Yeah, some places are compatible with one another, and there's other ones where you gotta have a whole new lathe to turn it. That's it laying flat. If you look at this now, it's got a bunch of chatter marks all throughout it. And a bunch of chips and, I guess, tear outs and stuff like that, but that's what, you see that line right there? That's where all that chatter mark is. That's why I don't lay this flat. Obviously, you're not supposed to save time.
You also notice that the live center he had on the tailstock doesn't have a point.
Yeah, this doesn't have a point.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, this is just a cup. It's a cup without the point. Man, I'm not used to this thing at all. Yeah, that thing's loud, ain't it?
Yeah.
That's not-
These are usually quiet.
That's not good for advertisement.
They usually whisper quiet, so we'll have to figure out what's going on with this one.
Sir?
Don't know, we'll figure it out tomorrow. Loosen up.
The $12.99 one is cheapest, quieter.
So, when you're doing this, I don't know if you guys have Jacob's chuck. When it vibrates, it has a tendency to push out, so just be careful when you're doing this because it will damage your piece. Same one, just sharper. just at this point, sanding. If that's the, you know, if that's the style that you want or whatever, it's just sanding from here. With this stuff, I would definitely recommend wearing a mask. I just don't have it for, you know.
You said it's the same speed as you turn?
Say again, sir?
You sand at the same speed as you turn?
Yeah, I mean, you could take it down. Generally, when I do my wet sanding, I have it on my lowest setting at all times. And generally, when I do my sanding, but this is just it's a pain in the butt to do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and sand them.
What grit is that?
This is 150. The great thing about acrylic, I don't know if you guys can see it, but as I'm going over it, see how it creates lines? That line right there? There. It's an indicator that the sandpaper is not even touching it. If you see any clear visible lines, then your sandpaper has not touched that particular area. So even if you don't have good feelings, you know, like this finger, I don't feel much because it's been smashed. So I generally have to do like this. But if I'm just going, I can sit here and watch it, and that line will disappear. Now the white lines is just a dust ring. You clean it off and it's gone. Just work your way all the way up. I normally go to 600, and then I start the wet sanding. Now with acrylics, the higher the grit, the quicker it is to mess this up. It heats up really quick with the finer grits and stuff like that. So you gotta be careful and use light pressure. Yes, sir. You can use it's a plastic polish or what they call acrylic polish or whatever. You guys sell it. 'Cause I bought some here. I can't think of the name of it.
2020 is 2020.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What are you up to now?
400. I know this is the boring part.
So can you glue or acrylic together?
Yes. I wish I had the Christmas ornament that I had made. I took a turquoise blue and that type of a purple. It was actually 2 pin blanks that I bought from here, and there's 4 pin blanks, 2 of each color. Glued them up, and man, that thing came out beautiful. Those lines are just perfect, and somehow or another, with the design inside of its own acrylic, it meshed really well together.
So are you using the acrylic to glue them, or what
You can. The very first time I ever did it, I did it with the CA glue. I did have one failure with that, so now if I have any excess acrylic of the same color, I'll basically weld it with its own acrylic. Now this stuff, obviously you know that you can put it in wood. You're going to do the same method as the lady with the gourds. You're going to have that little bevel that you're going to cut back underneath the wood. That way for the expansion and contraction of the wood, so the acrylic itself won't pop out. There's bowls that have like real nasty knots that a client or whatever wants. I'll fill it in with acrylic, come out, and I'll use the mink, and it blends, and it's just a nice added feature. This probably isn't enough. If you have anything that you want to put down for the water, so it's not going all over. This probably isn't enough. There you go. Thank you. You want it over the lathe, or you want it?
I would put it over the lathe. That's the expensive part.
Safety.
Key.
Do you need some paper towels?
I might. Thank you, sir.
Micro mesh.
Yes, sir.
What grit will you go to?
This one goes all the way to 12,000 grit.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've done acrylic. I put these away wet, so a little bit of problem there. All right. I'm gonna have to use a drink of water because apparently I forgot my spray bottle. And you know what's sad is I packed yesterday for this. That's sad.
Yeah, but you're the only one that's ever missed anything in the entire history of this class.
Yeah, but you know, I mean,
Yeah.
still. I want everyone to walk away from here, you know, wanting to do acrylics and, you know, hey, I actually learned something from that guy. And then he's like, yeah, we're confused. And you lost me at the beginning. And so, I mean,
That's Lee. Don't worry about it. You got it fixed.
All the rest of us are following you.
what's that?
All the rest of us are following you.
I appreciate that, even if it's not the truth.
So what breed is that one?
This is 1,500. So it's a huge jump from 600 to 1,500. But I don't have any grit that's in between those.
Well, they're all different rating systems. It's 600, or 1,500 of that is nowhere close to what 1,500 will be in the same paper. It's a different rating system.
Okay, okay,
That's why you can take the 60 degree.
okay. Now, the newer your pads are, the quicker you can go ahead and sand through this and everything else like that. But these pads are several months old and a couple of hundred blanks later, so. Now, as you get up into the higher grits, and being fast, it's very easy to mess this up because these will heat up very fast. If you have any corners, you want to soften those as much as you can before you get to this, because it'll rip through this, rip through the pad like it's another model.
How do you know when to change pads?
It's kind of just a feel, but generally, same thing with like brushing your teeth, sing the happy birthday song in your head a couple times. I mean, don't ever do it with your partners, you know, your buddies hanging out, you know, you just get picked on, but that's how I started out doing it. Some of the people on YouTube say count to 20, and it's good. But the older your pads get and the more worn they get, obviously you gotta do it a little longer. With the newer pads, you can do it, you know, fairly quick.
There's no magic, there's no advice, it's just, you gotta learn.
Yeah, there's just one of those kind of feel kind of things.
Now, I used to turn a lot of acrylics, and I found that if I would take a dry towel and wipe it off, you could see.
Yes.
You could see when it's coming.
Oh, definitely. You can see it.
But that's, if you're only doing it for a few, you can get the hang of it, you can see it.
Yes.
The only way I could ever figure it out is by drying it off.
Right. Yeah, you'll definitely. But see, right now, I have a focal point, which is the threaded rod inside. When I first started this, it was like looking through a foggy windshield. Now that I'm up here turning, you guys may or may not be able to see, but as I'm turning it, I can actually see the threads start to come through, and I can make it out a lot easier.
I tried that happy birthday thing, brushing teeth. Too much trouble cleaning the mirror.
Right. Yes.
They didn't tell me to sink it in your head.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Even though this isn't a point, the way it curves like this is an area where you can mess up very quickly with it building up way too much heat. Here, not so much, but on that corner, for whatever reason, it likes to heat up the pad a little bit faster than normal. I got all this going on my wall. On the floor. That's awesome. I'll clean that. Does anybody have any questions at all? What's that?
What do you get for your box?
They range anywhere between $35 and $75. Some of the ones that I have in the gallery, like those right there are $45. But some of the ones that I do, like the segmented work and stuff like that, or it has segmented acrylic with wood and stuff like that, then it's more. It really just all depends on what all Sir?
Do you use a draw bar on the Jacob's truck?
A what?
Do you use a draw bar on the Jacob's truck? Or is it just a Morse taper in there?
Yeah, it's just a Morse taper. That's it.
Usually one end of that, maybe not taper, you tap the water through. So you can put a rod in there, They make it go up,
Oh, okay. This is the very first one I ever had when I first started turning, and if it's back there, I've never really paid attention to it, because I taught myself wood turning, so, you know. But that's,
Well, it's just,
cool.
it's just safety.
Definitely.
Sometimes that Morse paper, as you're saying,
Shoot out.
will shoot out, and if you got a drawbar on it, it can't do it.
Definitely. Yeah, so I'm probably not even using this right. I haven't been using it the whole entire time. I apologize.
Obviously it works.
Hey, I'm young and I'm new, so.
Well, you're not putting much pressure on it, but if you do like bill bumping, it'll pull it out no problem.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
You really need a drawbar on it.
I know that when I first started, whether it was wood or acrylic that I was messing with, I knew to turn towards the headstock instead of away from the headstock. If it doesn't have that full bar in it, or you don't have the tailstock up. Because when you're going like this, all it's going to do is just want to pull it right out of the Morse paper. Ultra gloss. Just get all the excess water off. And as you can see, it polishes up nice without it. That's
Very nice.
pretty crazy looking, right?
So the swirls of color. Tell us again how you get the swirls in there.
All right, once you mix up your clear,
Right.
you set your catalyst. Go ahead and set the catalyst, mix it up for its 2 minutes, let it sit. While that's sitting, you're gonna mix up your color. Whenever you're done mixing up your color, throw its catalyst in there. This may or may not be already starting to gel, just depends on the temperature it's in the room that you're working. If you're sitting in front of an air conditioner, move, because that cool temperature is actually gonna slow down the process.
So you say mixing up the color. Suppose you want to use that powder and you don't want to change the color that comes out of the jar. What are you mixing the color with?
More acrylic. You got a clear acrylic in the
This is clear.
right, and you got a blue acrylic in the left.
Once I have the blue acrylic in the, this is clear,
Yeah.
this is blue. Once,
That's clear with blue powder.
That's what I was asking. You
Oh,
mix the
I'm
powder
sorry.
in more clear acrylic.
yes sir, yes sir,
With the
I
catalyst-
apologize.
With the catalyst added?
No.
No, you mix your powders first,
Yeah.
your catalyst is the last thing that goes in.
Okay, after you blend them together.
After you,
Okay.
after you, this is clear,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the catalyst in, mix it up, let it sit. While this is sitting, I will take my clear, put it in here,
Yeah.
put powder in here, mix it up thoroughly, make sure that it's good to go, then put my catalyst in, then mix it up for another 2 minutes or whatever. But you gotta watch this, I mean, it's one of those trial and error kind of things. And then you'll take your syringe, stick it in, draw it up. Once you have it drawn up, if you want, put some color in the bottom to hide the thing. Or if you're just doing a Christmas ornament, it really isn't gonna matter. But if you're making one of these, put the color in the very bottom to build up, to hide that little, the threaded part. And then just do your design. And it's just a matter of sticking it in and squeezing. As you're squeezing, you're either swirling and pulling up, or you can do polka dots. I mean, you can.
But it seems like you would get a solid trail of that color. And what I'm seeing is like feathery swirls of color. That's the difference.
It's weird because while this is gelled, or starting to gel, it's still gonna dissipate a little bit. And that's what's gonna give it that feathery effect.
So when you inject it, it continues to sort of.
Right,
spread itself out.
so if I was to inject that color right away, it would just dissipate throughout the entire
Right.
thing, and it would just look like tinted, tinted acrylic. But in order to get these,
Hold it still.
Wouldn't it depend on how much or how thick you mix the color also?
yes, sir, yes, sir, that is also a good point. Because you're doing, as you said, feathery, wispy kind of trails and stuff like that, you want more pigment. You just gotta be careful not to put too much pigment and not enough catalyst. On the papers, when you get the acrylics, it'll tell you the different, how much extra to add for a particular amount of pigments or whatever. I've never used liquid pigments with this stuff, so I've heard of some people doing it. I just don't know how it would affect the Silmar 41. I just know that there's some people that do use liquid pigments or liquid dye or whatever.
All right, so to create that swirl, then.
Yes, sir.
You put the needle down to the very bottom of where
Yes,
the
sir.
colors start, and as you're injecting, you're lifting and.
And
moving
swirling,
around and okay.
doing all kind of crazy
Okay.
things.
All right.
This was supposed to look like a jellyfish, but from the top here, it looks more like a hurricane. So,
Where's the one you poured water?
right here. Now, the one that I poured around a while ago, it's already hard. But you can go ahead and pass it around. You can feel the heat that's going on with it right now.
And what will you make out of that?
Though that is a pin blank. That is a pin blank. You'll just rip that right down the middle, and you'll have your two pieces for your for each of the pin tubes. Now the cutoffs I actually save because I will flatten each of the ends and just re-weld with some acrylic and just make it different. Or I'll take those and throw it down in a whole bunch of pourings, like inside the cups. I'll fill it up and then pour liquid all over it, and have a little paper that I'll put on top, and then I'll put almost like a plunger on top, because this stuff will actually, the acrylic's weight will actually push the hard acrylic up. Yes, sir.
All right, when you mixed this a while ago, didn't you just mix it all together?
Yes, sir. But it still moves as it's curing.
Because this has got a neat design in it.
That's called mink. That's exactly, if you look at the,
It's just a,
Is it the one you were handing around?
right, that's just a,
that's the blue
what you
rust.
get's what you see.
Yeah, this is mink. If you look at this color here,
Yeah.
you'll see the different shimmers. As you change the angle or change the lighting,
Get your finger out there.
oh, that ain't gonna matter. As you change it around, it's got like an iridescent change to it and everything like that.
Do you ever pour your pen blanks with the tubes already in, or you drill them later into the?
Now, that's what this is. This is a set that comes with a plunger, and you actually take, matter of fact, I have one right here. I haven't poured this one, but I was messing around with some designs. I actually painted the tube a different color, and I was going to do some floating acrylic that actually swirled around the pin tube to give it a more of a depth, a crazy looking depth of like an ocean scene. And basically this will just fit into that. You'll feed your pin tube in, and it'll actually sit, and you guys can take
Just hold it over the bottle stopper.
Sir?
Hold it over the bottle stopper.
There you go.
Sorry. Alright. This is how the pin tube would just rest in there, and it's dead smack in the middle of that square. Or the rectangle, I should say. I've got to remember my shapes on.
Did you pour that yourself, the mold itself you made, right?
No, sir. This was actually bought.
Oh, you can buy it?
Trying to think where I got this from. I think I might have got this set from Arizona Silhouettes. I don't know if you guys have ever heard them. Okay.
Very gross is buying that.
You already have,
Has
Um,
but I still saw the name, he may have left that
Yeah.
name on it for for a while.
Oh, is it something else now?
Arizona Silhouette, Bill Grubbin,
Walker or something.
yeah, anyway, the guy that founded Arizona Silhouette sold out.
Oh,
And
okay.
a famous pinter bought all of his inventory.
Oh, that's
Barry
cool.
Gross.
Very gross.
Barry Gross is, he's demonstrated, he bought out all the inventory.
Yes,
So
sir.
he is now selling it. The last time I saw, he was still using the Arizona Silhouette trade name, but it'll eventually wind up under Barry Gross's name.
Nice.
You know, it's not in Arizona.
Okay.
You got
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, sir. I will speed up. Buffing this, you definitely want to move it around the rag. You know, change it out and everything like that. Because when it starts to build up, you get to like these high spots and everything, it'll burn it and it'll actually melt this to the acrylic. And at this speed, it'll heat up a lot faster. Like I said, I normally do all my stuff at a slow speed when it comes to buffing or sanding. And that's it. That's how it happens.
So now you just screw it on the thing.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, there's, right here, I'll pass it around, but right here you can actually see one of the spirals coming all the way up, where it didn't dissipate as quickly.
And I was distracted. Did you put a polish, a finish on that?
Yes, sir, it was the
Reynolds
Ultra
Arts?
gloss.
Ultra Gloss, yes. thank you.
Oh, okay.
I hope I didn't confuse too many people or make too many people sleep, or all the above.
All right.
No, I just got confused with that swirling.
Yeah, that's just a trial and error kind of thing. What makes these blanks different than the ones that are out there on the sales floor is that if you look at them, it's done in layers. Everything is done flat. Where this is actually, you create a design, you know, doing whatever you want.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.